Welcome back to another episode of the Bryan podcast with yours truly, Bryan Rosevear, and the legend co-host, Ryan Parrock.
How you, pal?
Good, thank you. We've got some thank yous to say at the beginning of the show. Put out a bit of a shameless plug at the beginning of last week's show to say, please join our Patreon, and it worked.
Yeah.
So some new Patreon supporters. I really want to thank Ian Findley, Glenn. Not so sure of your surname, but thank you, Glenn. Tato Maguera, Jared LaRue, Martin Lockyer for moving across from YouTube to Patreon, and Caroline Cole as well.
Yeah, thank you guys and girls for the constant support and for sticking with us, because that Patreon goes a long way. It's really supporting the show now and keeps us going. And unlike the Boeing CEO, it keeps us showing up.
Yeah, certainly. It's making a massive difference, and you're now contributing to a couple of guys that are going to carry on with it. And I think it's an important milestone, because with those supporters now, we are actually for the first time making a slight little bit of profit. So that's a really positive thing for us. But let's jump into the news. The big thing this week, I'm sure you've all heard about it, Boeing's chief executive, David Calhoun, will be leaving at the end of the year. The head of its commercial airlines division is retiring immediately, and the chairman will not stand for re-election. So major shake-up at Boeing. Analysts believe a change in leadership is necessary to address the company's corporate culture issues. I think it goes deeper than that, let's face it. The company is facing criminal investigations and legal action related to their most recent safety incident. So in the end, United, Southwest, American Airlines, and Alaska, they ultimately forced a change in the leadership in the Boeing C-suite.
Yeah, look, it's been coming for a while now. With all the stuff that's going on at Boeing, I don't think they can do with any more negative publicity.
No way.
The airlines themselves that are supporting the brand, I think, need a bit of confidence that they're going to be able to continue to operate their fleets in the foreseeable future.
And it's not a given. There's still some work to be done. Even the people that are going to take over that position. It's not just... Sure, they've had a shake-up and they need that, but it's not a case of just replacing like for like and suddenly everything's going to work.
Yeah.
I think this is quite a few years of maybe mismanagement and a bit of arrogance there inside the organization. So it's not going to be fixed overnight.
That's for sure.
So
even the Ryanair CEO, O'Leary, has welcomed the change.
Yeah, I think he had a major role too. These owners have a big say in the matter. We saw for years as well, Emirates CEO, forget his name, Tim Clark.
Yes.
He also criticized, not shy of criticizing the manufacturers, and for a long time he's had a few things to say. But in the end, the very good article in the Air Current, they basically say United, Southwest, American, and Alaska were the big catalysts in that change.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop, however, that Calhoun is stepping down, but he's due to receive a rather handsome compensation package, including stocks, cash, options, and future potential earnings depending on Boeing's stock performance, which is where my future is relying on as well. But we'll keep an eye there. Next story, your favorite company in the world, South African Airways, is seeking a new strategic or equity partner to inject capital into the troubled state-owned carrier after a deal with Takalani Sesame fell through. The government aims to retain a golden share to protect national interests if SACAA lists on the Joburg Stock Exchange. What that's got to do with it, God alone knows.
I've seen a lot of these so where to now for SACAA articles going around over the last week, because I think people in general now realize that, hey, the money is not pulling in now. So what's going to happen?
What's the story? Yeah. What is the story? Let's have a genuine
like a bit of a poll. Let's put it out there. What's going to happen? It's going to come down to
one of three ways, I suppose. One, things just carry on as per normal.
Yeah.
Like no change.
And
keep leasing aircraft from the Turks and all the rest, and
you'll get your odd quarterly news review of how much taxpayers' money is being siphoned into the company to keep it going. These exorbitant leases that they put together.
They're either going to close down, or there's going to be this venture with an airline and some expansion, one assumes.
So do you want to hedge a bet as to which one of the three is going to...
Yeah, if I had to bet my Boeing shares on it, it would be option number one. Things just carry on as they've been. And you?
It's gone on for this long. Yeah, I don't see much change. But brand wise, it's not going to do them any good because people can see through. So see the woods for the trees now. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, if they're only seeing that now, God help them. Kenya Airways is seeking a strategic investor by the end of the year. Weren't these guys meant to join up forces at some point?
Yeah.
So same position. Company owes creditors 1.35 billion US and risk of defaulting on government loans. Similar story to SACAA. They're also looking for a strategic partner.
Yeah. So, what can we say?
Carry on. Airlink has taken legal action against South African Airways over alleged data theft by a former executive manager who moved from Airlink to SAA. Airlink is seeking a court order to prevent SAA from using or disclosing confidential commercial information, instructing SAA personnel to return and delete the stolen files. Information includes details on Airlink's contracts with travel agencies and financial values of relationships. SAA is also facing a separate legal action for alleged data theft by its former pricing analyst.
And the mudslinging will continue.
Yeah, there's a lot of mudslinging. And interestingly enough, it's not so straightforward. I mean, and I assume we're talking about Carla De Silva here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So someone of that caliber in that position, why on earth would she think she could zick information from Link and take it across to another airline and by the sounds of it, distribute it to people within the new airline to use?
Yeah.
I mean,
without any real consequences.
Without any consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what happened?
I don't know. It's there seems to be a bit of a jury out on that one because you get guys that know her personally very well that are defending her.
Have you heard anyone defending her?
Look, I've just picked up what I've literally saw going through the threads this morning. So, like I say, I think we're going to have to circle back on that one. But
okay, do you mean defending in terms of let's innocent until proven guilty type of defending?
That kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've heard that, but I'm not so sure there's a way out of this. You can't take IP from your previous employer, and particularly with a situation like this between, let's face it, two long-standing enemies.
Exactly. Yeah.
So keen to see this one play out. But before we take any sides, we'll wait and see. But I'm not holding out much hope for SAA's case or Carla De Silva in this case.
Neither. Definitely, I'm pro Airlink on that one.
Yeah,
any day of the week.
You'd probably be pro Airlink even if it was reversed. United Airlines is upgrading its Embraer 175 fleet with bigger baggage compartments, overhead compartments. Isn't this a no-brainer? Why particularly I notice on the sort of older gen regional aircraft, the the overhead baggage compartments just do not cut the mustard.
Never.
So a big upgrade going on there. The bin's expected to increase overhead compartment space by 80%, so they're quite big, and accommodate 29 additional carry-on bags per flight, reducing the need for gate-checking bags. So interestingly enough, sort of a retrofit upgrade there.
Come to think of it, those overhead bin locker doors are probably the most abused pieces of equipment on an aircraft, apart from the landing gear when the FO is landing. But
and you always see some muppet there who's put a bag in that's clearly oversized. Half the bag is sticking out, and they're trying to close it, and it's so clear that this thing's not going to close. But what he's really doing is waiting for the air hostess to come along to say, I'll find a spot for your bag. So, thank you.
Yeah.
It's always like it always looks like one of these Just Stop Oil or one of these protester type guys. You know, these soft looking long hair. They always look like dirty. One of those characters. Have you noticed?
That's for me one of the funniest things to watch as well is people on an airplane trying to force those things closed. Or you watch them walking down the aisle, particularly if you're sitting at the back. And,
you're always sitting at the back.
I always end up at the back like that. But, the biggest sort of fight is, I suppose, the question that people are answering or asking themselves in their heads when they get on the airplane, who am I sitting next to? And then they look up and see, okay, so where's this bag going to go? And if you can't put a bag that's close to your seat, you check the anxiety levels go up.
What is that all about?
Because now, is my laptop going to be safe and everything? And then
they come take your bag, and then they
try and shift your bag.
And
that's what pisses people off as well. It's like, if you know you've put your bag up there nicely with your laptop and everything, and someone comes and moves your bag and then wants to go and shove there.
No, then you're getting an overhand right to the jaw. That's irritating. Hey, yes.
People become animals in the back of it.
They do. People lose their marbles. Yeah. Allegiant Air. The reason I'll explain why this story is there, Ryan. You're probably wondering, but Allegiant Air is set to receive its first Boeing 737 MAX. It's the 8,200 variant, the one Ryanair use, in April after several delays. The airline plans to have 3 of these aircraft in service by the end of July and 10 to 12 by the end of the year. So they aim to operate a dual fleet with Airbus and Boeing planes. The reason I'm bringing up Allegiant, I've got quite a close link to them in a way, because back in 2007, I actually visited their premises in Vegas.
Oh, yeah?
It was the first time I went to Vegas. I was there with my old man, and we went to see Allegiant because we were looking at some MD-80s that they were because I operated MD-80s for many years, but they were really, really high-spec MD-80s. They had redone the interiors nicely, and they were absolutely fantastic. But what made the whole trip interesting, it was during the phase where Allegiant was basically phasing them out for 73NGs.
Okay.
But the company that they'd hired to do this was also involved with the American Airlines phase out of the MD-80s as well. So it was a bit of a connection there to that airline. So whenever I see news about Allegiant, it always kind of brings back good memories of a Vegas trip with my old man.
Shit, I can just imagine the stories there must have been epic.
Yeah.
And now your ties are even closer because of the Boeing shares invested into...
Well, this is it, the success. My Boeing shares rely on the success of Allegiant.
So, but you say now they're going...
so they're going for that sort of very high density...
but a mix of Boeing and Airbus.
Clever which move seems for an to be the clever move.
Oh, maybe I must buy some Airbus shares and then we'll see.
No, that's unfair. Well, I'd be interested to see what they cost. They're probably a hell of a lot more expensive than my Boeing shares were.
Isn't it us sounding like a bunch of know-it-alls on
we're
shares?
We're not. We don't know anything. Took us 3 weeks to figure out how to buy it. A listener comment from last week. 1 turning, 3 burning. Not going to say who it is. I think I know who it is. A couple of comments on the disruptive PAX incident. It's apparent this passenger was a problem from the start. This video you'll have seen does not show the 45 minutes plus leading up to this, with a very different phase prior to it. There are numerous aspects here that affect all airlines and all crews. It's completely unacceptable to have legitimate crew actions based on clear SACAA legislation flouted for whatever reason by police services whose alacrity is very debatable and then turned into a non-existent race incident.
Yeah.
So it was always going to become that. We actually decided initially we weren't going to even talk about this incident, because when things like this happen, it always becomes a race thing.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to skirt around, but it's not a race thing. It's a flight safety thing.
Exactly.
It's a pure flight safety thing. And someone commented as well, that we're very biased giving one side of the story. And I commented straight back to say, well, if you want the other side, I think there are far more other sides to the story than our one side to the story.
Exactly.
So we'll back the crew, the airline, and the flight safety side, and you can go back whatever woke agenda you are part of. But there is no other side to the story. This is what happened, and by the looks of it, the support from the police, it looked half-hearted in the video. First of all, if I'm a captain and you're calling on the police to take a passenger off, there's a time and a place for questioning why that should happen. But I was always under the impression, and I've seen it before, because we had an incident before where a passenger was taken off an aircraft, and the young policeman that came onto the aircraft there was no negotiating going on.
Yeah.
This guy was going to get taken off the plane.
See, the important thing is, like, if this was allowed to slide, and flight safety gets overridden because of this influencer now, you're setting a very dangerous precedent.
Yeah.
And that just cannot be allowed. Anyone, doesn't matter what.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter what.
It doesn't matter. It's got absolutely nothing to do with a race in any way. But it got made about race. Got nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
But in the future, I'd like to know that if a skipper calls the police officer on board to take a passenger off that's a threat to flight safety, you would want to think that police officer is going to board that aircraft, have the captain identify who the problem passenger is, and then take that passenger off the aircraft straight away.
Exactly.
I mean...
And if you want to ever contest that, I hope you take into consideration that there could be a very big chance of a family member or close friend of yours being a passenger on that flight that could be in danger by this particular individual behaving like that.
Yeah.
So people need to be very careful before they want to start throwing these woke fucking agendas around, because it's...
Yeah, you can imagine if let's say the aircraft itself is divided between people that think that this passenger should be removed from the aircraft and those that don't. The last thing you want up at altitude is an altercation with those two factions within the aircraft itself. So no, flight safety comes into it, and I don't know. I haven't seen anything else, and I'm commenting here based on this comment.
Yeah.
So I'd wait to see the full report, but from what I did see, it looked a little bit half-hearted from the police side. To be honest, I would want a little bit more of a snot clap attitude to say, remove yourself or we'll remove you.
Exactly. A little bit more firm on the
yeah.
Not be like half-hearted, like, are you bedazzled by this?
Yeah. Are your emotions affected? Should we leave it there before we get cancelled? Today's episode is sponsored by Flightline. Flightline Logbook is an easy-to-use, affordable electronic pilot logbook available to iOS and Android users with an unprecedented 3-month free trial. You get an extra month free after setting up your account if you email support@flightline.co.za and tell them that you heard about them through the Bryan podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Flightline. And once again, massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters. We really do appreciate it. And from our side, enjoy the upcoming long weekend.
Yes. Thanks for reminding me. So there's one episode this week because of obviously the holiday last week cut that week short, and this week is a bit short as well. So we'll be back to normal the following week. But enjoy your long weekend with the family. I hope it's a good one. And once again, thanks everyone for your awesome support. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Bye for now.